Let's just, I guess, kick this off right away. So this is the Blu-ray edition, right? Is there anything people need to know which version of the movie to queue up with?
Well, it's Land of the Dead,
Okay.
and it is, I believe, the earliest version you can get. Maybe it's the second version because there's three now. There was one that was just released by Scream Factory. This is not the Scream Factory Super Duper Deluxe version. This is just the middle, like, I'm not the piece of shit version, but I'm okay.
So then I guess we'll just do I guess I'll just say three, two, one, play, and then people can press play when I say play.
Yeah.
All right, three, two, one, play. So this is Keith and Ray, and this is our first official episode, but we have an episode 0. If you just want to learn about us, learn a little bit about us, we got a little intro episode.
Yeah, a little something. I mean, mostly it's us talking about porn and my, bitching about the movie industry and how they keep fucking with people's budgets and such. But it's still pretty entertaining.
And then we thought, just as like a little test run, because our basic plan, I think, for this podcast, we'll see how things go, but is probably just to do film commentaries, because it's just a good excuse to sit around and blab about shit. So I decided I was going through Ray's movies, and I'm like, let's watch Land of the Dead, because I got like a sort of soft spot for this movie, even though I've only seen it one time in the theater.
Yeah, I have also only seen it once. Not in the theater, though. I saw it right when it came out on DVD, I believe. And I don't think I bought it when I had it on DVD. I think I pirated it, so whatever.
So this movie, one thing that sort of a nice little memory I've got of this movie is when I first moved to Vancouver in like 2004. Does that line up? Is that when this movie came out?
Ish.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Is because I was deep in Nerdsville. Like, I worked at a comic store for 7 years. I knew about every dumb thing that was happening. Like, I would have known about this movie for sure. I wouldn't have been able to avoid it because there would have been comic book tie-ins and blah, 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 whatever. When I moved to Vancouver, I didn't have a computer, and I just got a job at a coffee shop. And like, for the first time in my life, I was like a normal person, It didn't last very long. But it was a cool feeling because I remember I just opened up a newspaper and it was like, opening this Friday, Land of the Dead. And I was like, whoa, like, I'm a huge Romero fan. How did I not know about this movie? And then I realized this is what normal people, this is what their life is like. They don't know about this shit a year in advance. They just, oh, here's a movie. Let's just go to a movie.
And unfortunately, that's changed. I mean, there's no surprise now. Like a year, sometimes 2 or 3 years in advance when something is going to be coming out. So there's no happy surprises anymore when you're, combing through the paper, which no one really fucking does anymore. Or, I'm just going to go to the movies and see what's coming out on Friday.
That is something I do wonder about, though, because like, it's like, I guess there's no way to really know what the other side is like, Like, we're not super nerds, but we're pretty into whatever nerdy ass shit. But are there people like that don't know that there's like a Han Solo movie coming out? Like, there might be, right? Maybe that'll come out and they'll just be like, oh, cool, a Han Solo movie. Like, maybe they don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, as far as that particular topic goes, I'll see it. It's fucking Star Wars. I'm going to see it. But at the same time, it's kind of like one of these things where, it could be so great. I mean, Star Wars is pretty great. I mean, I'm a big fan. But I mean, there are some low points. I don't want to mention any particular titles like Episode 2, which was fucking dog shit. But, anyway, it could go either way.
And I guess, yeah, like anything that has been around too long, because actually that does kind of tie into what we're watching now, of just like any franchise that lasts forever. I mean, arguably, this is older than, I guess there's been fewer movies than Star Wars, but this came out like 10 years before Star Wars, right? Like the first one, Night of the Living Dead, it was like late 60s.
It came out in 1969, if memory serves, or maybe even before that. I would honestly have to look. It was definitely the 60s, though, and Star Wars came out in 77. So
So yeah, because I remember I didn't get into the Dead series until I think the first one I saw was Dawn of the Dead. And it was one of those movies that didn't totally sink in the first time because there's so much dumb shit in it. Just checking the date. Like with Dawn of the Dead, remember how like so many of the zombies were just people painted blue, and oh man, look at the blue filter on this movie. Like it's just, this was totally all right. Well, I'll get back onto that in a second. This is one thing I've noticed too about movies. Like you can tell what era they're from. Like I read Treasure Island this summer, and then I'm like, well, let me go look at the Treasure Island movies, and it's so interesting because the one from the 50s is like, you know, like they paint the background and you're supposed to pretend they're on a pirate ship, you know, it's like a play. The one from the 90s was like just a straight up movie. And then the one from the 2000s, like 2012, it's like all desaturated and everything's gray. And it for some reason it used speed ramping, you know, that shit that was like, it goes slow, then it goes fast, like 300.
Yeah.
Just absurd. Where this movie, this is a total mid 2000s thing of just like, let's just put blue across everything.
Yeah, I mean, and stylistically it works. It definitely gives the impression that, you know, look at that horrible CGI blood.
Yeah, that was bad.
Holy shit.
John Leguizamo from Ray's favorite movie, The Pest, just shot a guy in the eye, a zombie, and it didn't look good.
Whatever. Did you see that shower scene in The Pest at the beginning of the credits where he's like doing all this crazy shit like Ed Grimley, and then all of a sudden he's pretending he's Dracula and he's like blah blah blah. Like, that was awesome.
We're gonna have to do a commentary for The Pest at some point. Just weekly. Yeah, and like, because I remember The Matrix, it had like the green filter on everything, and yeah, this one's blue. But yeah, that was just totally a thing. Or even like I noticed with I Spit on Your Grave, where I watched the 70s one, and then I just watched the 2010 one, and again, it's like you can tell, like everything just, it's that kind of washed out gray, desaturated look that every modern movie has, and it looks cool, but it's just interesting to see how like every era is it's so easy to tell where a movie's from.
Yeah, everything's very discernible. Just speaking about the whole paintings thing, because we were kind of talking about how backdrops kind of look painted and such. A lot of times you can notice stuff like that in like The Sound of Music, or, you know, I mean, not that I would ever watch The Sound of Music, but, you know, I've seen it obviously. Sure. But the background's very obviously painted, you know, like very beautiful painting. And even in Star Wars, I don't know if you knew this or not, but
I was going to bring that up. I love the Star Wars ones. They look amazing. Like all the, like when there's tons of stormtroopers, but they're just a painting. Yeah. It's like so cool.
You wouldn't know, like, unless you watch the special features because you're a fucking nerd, you wouldn't know.
I actually, I really do kind of miss stuff like that. Like, I think that could be a cool style to bring back, like, even though it's not necessarily real. Like, who gives a shit? Because I feel like CG has just ruined the artistic side of movies in some ways. It's like, just throw enough computer nerds on it and whatever, and it just doesn't feel cool anymore.
CGI blood, I mean, I get you want to save some money, but honestly, like, how much does fake blood cost? It can't cost that much. And when you see something like, for instance, Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, I can't believe you. I was just going to bring that up. I can't believe you brought that to go on, though.
When Baby Firefly throws the knife at...
that's exactly what I was going to bring up.
Yeah, that CGI blood was so terrible, like, very obvious.
And I guess, yeah, to be fair, like, I didn't notice the first couple of times. Like, it is kind of easy sometimes to miss stuff like that, but then someone mentioned it, and now I can never not see it. And I'm like, oh, fuck, like, yeah, how hard would it have been? And I guess it really must be cheaper, because Rob Zombie, of all people, like, you know, he hates that stuff, but he must have just had to do it.
I mean, for fuck's sakes, it wasn't, what was it, like 2 scenes after that where they did that scene where they had the girl wearing her boyfriend's face, and then she runs out and gets smoked by a truck, and there's like all that gore all over the road. Like, that was practical. Why couldn't they have done the knife wound with fake blood, or, you know, whatever, actual physical special effects, as opposed to this really crappy, you know, on something so minor?
If I ever make a movie, this will be a historical document if I ever become a director. But yeah, I think like that's what I would want to do, is kind of bring back like I'd bring back practical effects even if it looks shitty, because I feel like that's fine. Like the cat in Reanimator, where it's like, okay, that guy's just someone just threw a fake cat at him, and now he's thrashing around with the fake cat. It looks like shit, but who cares? Because like at least it's a real thing, you know?
Actually, that was actually a real dead cat.
Really gross.
Yeah, I listened to an interview with not Brian Yuzna, but the director of Reanimator, whose name is eluding me for some reason.
Oh shit! Yeah, I can't remember either.
Anyway, I was listening to an interview with him on Postmortem, which is Mick Garris's podcast, and he was like, yeah, like that was actually a fucking dead cat, because whatever.
Just fuck everything. So with Land of the Dead, like I feel like this movie didn't get great reviews. People were kind of like, whatever, it's not that great. But
oh, sad day.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's kind of cool. I think people were just sort of opposed to the idea maybe of the slightly smart zombie shit. But I mean, this was all set up in Day of the Dead with Bub. I guess people didn't like Bub either, but I don't know. I liked all that shit. I thought it was cool.
I am absolutely in the minority. I do not like Day of the Dead. I think it is the weakest of the series, but it gets so much love, and I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, it's one of those movies. It kind of reminds me of like Alien 3, in the sense that like I keep watching it and I keep trying to like it, and I just kind of can't. Like Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead starts awesome. That first scene is just excellent, but then yeah, once they get stuck in the underground, and the head army guy he just overdoes everything. If any of you motherfuckers, like, I'm just gonna kill everyone. It's like, buddy, I know it's an apocalypse, but you need to calm down, man.
As a note, the what I'm assuming, because I've only seen this once, the lead zombie, the black guy, doesn't he kind of remind you of Terry Crews?
Yeah, it kind of does. I'm trying to remember that dude's name. I think it says it on his little thing. But yeah, so I guess like I feel like there's just so many. We'll probably just ramble, I guess, through this movie. There's so many things I could talk about George Romero zombie movies. So we'll just fucking let it roll. Okay, but yeah. So how I found out about these movies was somebody brought over the Dawn of the Dead VHS to my house, and I watched it, and I liked it, but it didn't really sink in, because of the goofy ass parts, like the way that most of the zombies were just people painted blue, and just the really bizarre shit. Like, you remember when the biker gang attacks, and the guy in the middle of the attack gets his blood pressure checked in the blood pressure machine, and then gets his arm torn off? Like,
all right, that was pretty good.
There's just like some weird shit that I like didn't take that movie seriously. But then I watched it again, and the second time I was like, wait a minute, this might be fucking awesome. And like every time I watched it, I liked it more and more.
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead is one of those ones for me, honestly. I liked it right from minute one, and it's like, I mean, I love Night of the Living Dead, but Dawn of the Dead was definitely like the pinnacle of George Romero's success, in my opinion. It's where stylistically and effectively he managed to kind of capture his audience. It's just, I mean, it's a personal opinion. And he didn't do anything great after that. I mean, look at this. This is a piece of shit. Like,
I was just going to say, though, they got their armored car and stuff. I'm like, I think this is cool. At least at the very least. I mean, obviously this movie has problems, but it is nice that at least this is like a real movie. Because I remember, I think, was it the one right after this, Diary of the Dead, that was like found footage? And I didn't even finish it. It was so fucking bad. And it's just like, it's just sad.
If memory serves, there's, I think, 2 more after this. Mm-hmm. Were you a fan of the Return of the Living Dead series at all?
I only saw the first one, and I remember the naked chick dancing, and that's about all I remember. Oh, that's the one with "Send more police," right? Like the zombies could talk.
I think so.
I remember this zombie he kills like some policeman, and he takes the radio in the police car, and he's just like, "Send more police."
Right, and you were thinking of Linnea Quigley, by the way, who was the naked dancing zombie chick, and she was also in another good movie. Have you ever seen Silent Night, Deadly Night?
No.
It is the best horror Christmas movie ever. It is.
Nice.
I have it. It's fucking amazing. Zombie movies. I mean, Return of the Living Dead 2. I really like it. A lot of people hate it. I really like it. I wish it would get a Blu-ray release. Alas, it has not gotten a Blu-ray release. And then everything after that was total fucking garbage. Like, I just recently, like within the last month, tried to rewatch Return of the Living Dead 3 because I remember like enjoying that a lot when it came out when I was a kid, and it doesn't hold up. It's fucking garbage. Like, Vestron put out this super duper version or release of Return of the Living Dead 3, and it's like $50, and it's not worth 50 cents. Like, it's not worth the plastic the movie's encased in. Like, it's just bad.
It's just weird too with horror movies. Like, I mean, with pretty much every series is like, they have to make sequels, kind of. It's just like a financial inevitability, but they just get shittier and shittier. Like, that'd be like the rare thing of like finding movies that got better, because that never happens.
So this young dude just got munched on by a fucking cop zombie, and they used practical effects for that, and it looked so good. But someone got shot, and they had to use fucking fake blood, or they had to use CGI. Like, I don't get it. And there's the idiot that plays Castle on TV.
I wonder too, like, if maybe I didn't notice as much back in 2004 when I saw this in the theater. Like, maybe I just wasn't desensitized to CGI as much. But yeah, nowadays it's just brutal. It's like, man, I mean, you can really see the grain on this. There's like so much violence going on. I'm like, not even. I guess the point of this isn't to pay attention to the movie, but
well, one of the other funny things that I've just noticed about this movie that I don't know if you've picked up on or not. Everyone else is wearing like leather and sort of tactical gear or whatever, and this dude is wearing like a wool coat, like he's going out for a date or something like that.
That is nice though. That, yeah, like, although I feel like John Leguizamo is probably only wearing leather because he's on a motorcycle, but it just makes sense in a zombie world to wear something. Like, it drives me nuts when, like, did you ever play that game The Last of Us on PlayStation?
I did not.
It's super cool. And but there's like a chick who one of the early characters gets bit, turns into an infected, but the whole time she's wearing like a sleeveless jean jacket, and it's like, bitch, put on some sleeves, man. Like,
say, didn't you write a book about that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I guess this will all be on the same website, but at keithcourage.com. Yeah, I wrote a book about a video game about zombies, or zombie-ish creatures. Yeah, so that's the thing too. So like, this was when I'm trying to remember. So zombies like kind of disappeared for a while, because I remember I used to wish there was more zombie stuff. And like, I would rent these terrible Italian zombie movies and stuff from Blockbuster that were just terrible, Zombie Lake and shit, fucking awful movies. And it seems weird now to think there was ever a time that there wasn't enough zombie stuff. Because now there's 2 Walking Dead shows, there's a fucking million movies. And I guess it was like 28 Days Later that kind of brought things back, right?
I don't really consider 28 Days Later a zombie movie personally. It's more like one of those infected virus movies, kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, and Last of Us is the same thing, but it's, it's zombie-ish, I guess.
Yeah, I guess reanimated corpses, whatever. Angry, undead shit.
Because then, I'm trying to remember when the Dawn of the Dead remake came out. Was that before this?
Is that John Leguizamo again?
It does. It looks like a John Leguizamo blow up. But yeah, the Dawn of the Dead remake must have been before this, right? It's hard to remember now, right? Because that was really what kicked off the zombie revival.
Yeah, and I have that one as well. It should be noted that I have like fucking hundreds of movies. Like, I've got like over 550 movies on Blu-ray, which, I think it's a pretty respectable collection. Though I do know some people who have like thousands, which, I envy them, and they're cocksuckers.
So yeah, I remember with this movie, I know I never finished reading it, but you can find online the script for what Day of the Dead was supposed to be, and it was supposed to be way more about this type of thing, like later days of zombie, like society is sort of reasserting itself, but everything is based around everyone being armed and everyone looking out for zombies all the time. So, but they didn't have the budget. So that's what I heard this movie kind of came from. Is a lot of this is like the sort of stuff he wanted to do in Day of the Dead, but he didn't have any money. So, so now he is. And yeah, it's like, things aren't so bad. Like that's one thing I always think is interesting with zombies is just the super society freak out. Oh my god, whatever. But really, all you need to do is just be slightly prepared, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, the 60s when they would just nail some boards over a window. These guys had a fully armored truck. Where the fuck did they get that?
Yeah, it's weird too. So the zombie, even within Night of the Living Dead, I guess zombies changed within that movie. Because you remember like the first scene with "Coming to Get You, Barbara," and that dude had like super strength, and he like flipped the car, and he's like, or tore the door open. Like that first zombie was crazy.
I think he just smashed the window, but he actually used a rock. He really wasn't that strong. It was just, circumstance. Like he smashed the window with a rock, and she was an idiot and put the car in reverse, and it smashed into a tree or something like that.
Yeah, so I guess you're right. And it just sort of seemed like they were kind of finding their footing about zombie rules a little bit. And then it kind of went into the slow walking zombies. And then things progressed into like the remake with the fast zombies. That's the thing. This must have come out after, because I was never a huge fan of fast zombies. I don't hate them, but I just don't like them as much as slow ones. So then I remember with this movie, I was glad that it was just slow zombies again.
I really liked the first scene in the Dawn of the Dead remake when, the little was it the little girl or the husband? One of the two of them anyway got bit, and she thought that like the lead character Sarah Polley, her character went to check on whatever the sick or sleeping husband or daughter. I don't remember because I haven't seen that in years either. And he gets up or she gets up and just fucking like motors after, like dinner's served, like I'm ready.
Yeah, I like that too with kids. I feel like it makes more sense because what I always kind of thought, it'd be hard to film, but what I thought would be cool with, if you want to do fast zombies, is that they could be like energetic but still not coordinated. Like I feel like a zombie wouldn't be able to run for more than 5 feet before it like falls down, but then it could still just keep scrambling and being crazy.
I like that this utopia in this movie that they have built still has prostitutes.
Right. Yeah, it totally kind of reminds me of like the Three Breast City and
Total Recall.
Total Recall. Yeah. But yeah, I love this like just this idea of the one place that's like the refuge. There's a place in Fallout 3 that's like this. Like it's just this one hotel that they try to make it seem like everything's fine in the hotel, but outside everything's fucked. Or that game BioShock where they build like a city under the water, but then it just goes to shit. Like, I don't know, I just like this idea, because this is what people would do, is like, all right, we got this one part cordoned off. Let's just pretend everything's fine in here, and let's just ignore that everything sucks.
But who coordinates that? Who starts that? Like, I mean, are these guys really military soldiers, or are they just dudes that ended up, throwing on some camouflage because they're what's in charge right now?
Yeah, and I guess that is like a bit of a question too, of like because Dennis Hopper's the rich guy who set this up, right? But what would his money even be worth once things went to shit? Like, it is kind of too easy an explanation of like, oh, the rich guy just set this up, but no one would care about his money. They'd kick his balls and eat his brain.
Exactly. And I mean, realistically, the paper money wouldn't be worth a thing. It'd be things like cigarettes or luxuries like toilet paper that would be, those would be the valuable things. That, like, it'd be like prison, because actual toilet paper, actual cigarettes, actual whatever, those things would be the things of value, like bottled water, not paper money.
This kind of reminds me too of just last summer I finally read that zombie survival guide that Max Brooks wrote. That I guess like he wrote that, and then he wrote World War Z, which I never read or saw the movie, but I don't know if they're any good. But the zombie survival guide is super cool because he takes it really seriously. He's like, here's what you really need to do if zombies happen. And in a way, it like ruins the whole like fantasy of like how fun it would be to be in a zombie world and just grabbing shotguns and looting fucking stores. Because when you really break it down, it's like, this is just a lot of work. This isn't fun at all.
I had one of those guides. I think it was, I don't know if it was Max Brooks that wrote it, but it was about werewolves. What to do if you're going to become a werewolf, and it was pretty awesome. It had some good laughs in it.
I think too with the zombie survival guide, that was really, I guess, the real downer about it, that showed that like if this ever happened, we would all just die. Is basically if you're not prepared already, you're fucked. So a lot of it was just like, go find a place where you can buy land out in the middle of nowhere, but somewhere you can get to, but that no one else is gonna go to, and just all this like survivalist shit. And it's like, oh man, I hope zombies don't happen now. I don't want to do that. I don't want this to be a job. I just want to shotgun people in the face.
Man, John Leguizamo was a fucking bad actor. So bad.
It was one of those cases where I was like surprised to see him in this, because I never minded him, but like, yeah, like just he shouldn't be in like a serious role. I don't know, maybe this isn't that serious.
Who the fuck is this?
I don't know. Yeah, this is where we got our zombie grounding off our chest, and we fucking totally lost track of what's happening in this movie.
I don't know. She kind of looks a little bit like a low rent version of Julia Moore.
Oh no, the old man who hung himself turned into a zombie.
How the fuck did he turn into a zombie if no zombies could get into the complex? Oh, and he's had lunch.
So with the Romero rules, is it just that anyone who dies comes back as a zombie?
No, it's definitely, I think they definitely have to be bit or something like that. Like, if memory serves anyway. I mean, I guess it didn't really explain in Night of the Living Dead how the zombie outbreak happened. Like, was it an aerial thing? Like,
Well, I remember there was a thing that, if I remember right, that George Romero didn't want to put in, but his producer guy made him, where there's that news report about the comet passing over the Earth.
Oh, right.
But officially, he's like, I mean, fuck the comet. The comet is just some shit they made me put in. Because, like, as if that explains anything. Like, I really liked in Dawn of the Dead how they explain it, but they don't explain it, where the dude is just, like, talking about his voodoo grandmother who used to tell him that when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. And I'm like, good enough, man. I'll buy it.
You know what the best part about Dawn of the Dead was? It wasn't Land of the Dead.
I'm already starting to regret this a little bit. We're only like 20 minutes in. I'm like, there's a lot of this movie left to go. And it's like, all right, we got this cool building and some zombies, but yeah, it really is just kind of like bad CG and, well, I don't know.
What the fuck is going on here? Oh, take your picture with a zombie. That's cute.
That dude looks just like the cover art of Day of the Dead. That guy, that zombie. Definitely homage time. I remember I saw this too with my girlfriend at the time in Vancouver, and I was probably boring the shit out of her with my dumb zombie trivia of just like, oh, do you know? Like, I went to see The Wrestler, the Mickey Rourke movie.
Oh, right, the Aronofsky film.
Yeah, I saw that. It was like during the period when I wasn't watching wrestling anymore, but I went with my New York girlfriend at the time, and I just remember, I was like, oh, this is a reference to, that's supposed to be this guy. And just like, I could feel myself being an annoying nerd, but I couldn't stop because I had no one to talk to wrestling about for years.
And she was probably like, yeah. I gotta touch that dick sometime.
Yeah, we need to break up.
We need to get some non-wrestling wiener.
Because, yeah, I'm sure I was probably the same way about this movie, where I was like, to her, I was probably trying to like, this is like important because like George Romero finally got to make another movie. I'm sure she was just like, we go back to trying to be, is that Asia Argento?
That is Asia Argento, the daughter of Lucio Fulci. Lucio or Lucio? Lucio Fulci.
So I guess though, well, I mean, I haven't seen all the movies that came after this, but I guess, I don't know, I guess that's the thing. It's like, obviously Day of the Dead and, or Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead are obviously the two good ones. I wonder how this stacks up to Day of the Dead. Like,
oh, Day of the Dead is better than this, for sure. Like 100% for sure.
maybe this is why it's better never to watch these types of movies again. Like, watch it the one time, be like, oh, cool. But yeah, now that we're in the thick of the second viewing, it's like, yeah, what is happening? Is it a midget with a purple suit? Like,
He looks like a pimp.
yeah.
Like, and why the hell did Asia Argento have to know martial arts? Like, it's like zombie movies and vampire movies. Once someone turns or is in danger of being turned, all of a sudden they know some sort of deadly fighting art, like automatically. Like, did you ever notice that with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, especially? Like, someone would get bit, and then all of a sudden, whoa, kung fu.
Or like it's weird too with like The Watchmen, where I mean, I guess there's just no good way to do it, but like in the comic, they never really explain if people have powers or if they can fight or if they're just perverts that are dressed up like superheroes. So then in the movie, he's like, well, I got to do something. So look, they're just going to be super powered awesomeness.
Yeah, the guy with the weird overcoat just shot some people, and there was a stripper. So interesting, I guess. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Pimp Midget went down.
Yeah, this is I guess maybe too, since this is just our test run or whatever.
He looks like the mini-me version of Dom DeLuise.
Yeah, it totally does. This is, I guess too, this is where it's good to do like a test commentary, because probably this is a good like lesson that I'm learning is that for the future ones, we'll like pick ahead of time and I'll like watch them ahead of time and just, come up with shit. Because yeah, I'm like, other than generalized zombies and Romero in general, I don't have anything to say about this goddamn movie. Like,
I don't know. I mean, realistically, I had to watch it at some point. I bought it. But you know what? This will not be staying in my collection.
We just had a splash of fake CG blood that spurted out of the midget's head, but his hat didn't come off and the blood just sprayed out of his hat. Like, it was terrible.
What else do you say about that, really?
Yeah, at least like attach a little wire to his hat and make it go fly off or something.
So I guess this guy's supposed to be the attractive male lead of this movie, and he's wearing that total like I'm gonna fuck a chick black wool coat, and he just saved Asia Argento, so they're gonna bone at some point.
Man, this is always weird too to watch a movie from not too long ago, whatever, 12 years ago. That I bet this guy, whoever the fuck this guy is, he was like, it's all coming up Millhouse now. I'm in the lead in Land of the Dead. I'm gonna start being in tons of shit. I'm gonna be famous. But we don't know who the fuck he is. He's just some guy.
Yeah, I know who he is. He's in this stupid TV show called Castle. He's like some sort of super smart dude, and I don't know, he's clever or something like that. He sucks either way. He looks like a yeah. I gotta remember to try and really be politically correct here, because sometimes I say horrible things. So maybe we need to do like
yeah, if anything slips out, I'll just put like a zombie moan over it or something.
He looks like a
and then people can just wonder what you said.
He looks like a like maybe the groan from Shaun of the Dead. No, that's great.
Man, though, yeah, it must be just weird to being an actor guy where I started watching The OC, which from around this same time, like 2003. I just never saw the OC. And, like, the lead dude in that, like, what happened to that guy? He must have been like, yeah, I'm all set now. I'm the lead guy in the OC. And that show was a big deal, but I don't know his name. I don't know what happened to him. It's like just this, we just have, like, super disposable celebrities. We're just like, you go now. Get out of here.
But are they really celebrities if you don't remember them?
Yeah, no, I guess not. But it's just like, man, I don't know. I'd be so jazzed if I was any of these people, if I got any of these jobs.
Ben McKenzie.
Oh, is that this guy?
No, that's the guy who you were talking about.
Oh. See, I don't even know.
I don't know how I know that, because I've never watched the OC. I will admit I watch Riverdale, but I've never seen the OC.
You guys, you want to start an OC Riverdale podcast where we'll tell each other about the show? Imagine that'd be the fucking dumbest show in the world.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, what do you say though? I mean, everyone's got like guilty pleasures, I mean, I have this movie, so sad day.
I guess too. I mean, it is kind of telling where, for whatever reason, my vague memories were like whenever or just seeing Land of the Dead on your shelf, where I'm just like, yeah, Land of the Dead, like it sparked that little happiness thought in my head. But the fact that I never saw it again, because I've seen Night of the Living Dead and the 1990 remake a bunch of times. I've seen Dawn of the Dead like fucking, I don't know, 50 times at least. Even Day of the Dead I've watched like, I don't know, 7 or 8 times. The fact that I only watched this once, I mean, my own subconscious knew the truth, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, I don't remember how much of this movie I actually watched.
Yeah, this is one of the only other things I remember is so the head lead zombie dude, this Big Daddy, that's his name. He's like the smart zombie, and I guess that's what the controversy was. Like, he realizes that they're on this island, and he realizes that they don't need to breathe, so he walks them all through the water. And I thought that was really cool, man. Like, they come up through the water and they're on the island, but yeah, I guess everybody in the world hated that idea of a zombie being smart.
That piece of plywood is what is supposed to have separated what's left of humanity from flesh-eating zombie things. Like, oh, there's a zombie. He was on the other side. He's like, haha, fooled you.
Zombies scaring zombies, man. Zombie on zombie crime.
Zombie on zombie jump scare. Oh, so, he's not going to like that his people are being used as things, like playthings.
So I guess, though, I mean, that's where, like, I don't know, I think this is kind of neat, because it is kind of the through line of the Romero zombie movies, at least these first 4. Is Night of the Living Dead, it was just, oh my God, they're zombies. Like, they didn't really get into it that much. But like that Dawn of the Dead idea that people were coming to the mall because they remembered it, you know, and it was like a comforting place to them. So they kind of just congregated back to the mall. And then Day of the Dead got way more into it with that dude, Bub. And I just loved, like, that they put headphones on him, and he kind of remembered what it was, and they give him a razor, and he's just scraping his own face. He's still a dumb zombie, but, like, I like that idea that there's a little bit of human being in it. So, like, I feel like these smart zombies in this movie, it's not like they just came out of nowhere. Like, you know, he was laying the groundwork for this dumb shit.
I think even in a post-apocalyptic zombie future that... what's that dude's name? I can't think of his name. Dennis Hopper.
I was going to say John Leguizamo. How soon you forget.
I don't think rich-ass white Dennis Hopper would let that Mexican hang out with him and drink his champagne.
I guess, though, he's got to send somebody out to go get him supplies and shit, right? And that's low-down Luigi's job.
The price he pays, but he'll throw that glass away. He'll never use that again.
Yeah. And his lips touched it. Yeah.
This is where one of the zombie groans are going to come in.
That would be great, though. I think that would have been a legitimately great thing to add into this movie, is to make him just a real, just bigoted, racist piece of garbage. Like, why not?
He's like the Trump of this movie. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah, maybe this movie is like, that's the tack we should have taken. If we just came out of the gates insisting this was genius, you know, the whole time, and like, this movie is more relevant now than it ever was. Maybe we could like trick people into thinking.
Yeah, this is like 6 years down the road in American history is what this is.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Man, wow! Now I like this movie.
I wonder too how many, I guess, like, just podcasts.
That's totally SS looking, like.
Yeah, totally.
Jesus Christ.
And I mean, just in general, I guess most podcasts, most of the listeners are from America. There's just more people in America. But I mean, I lived in America for a year, and zombies, metaphor for America, totally true. Like,
see how John Leguizamo totally headbutted that guy, and like he did it like so smoothly. Now he's got a gun.
Did you just see that subtitle said Cholo speaking Spanish? This movie's racist. That's what it said.
Oh man, so bad.
Man, this is totally like in The Last of Us, just like this weird, like, you know.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, it did look like him, right? Modern day Macaulay Culkin. Jesus, that really does look like him. But yeah, this like shantytown thing they got going on, and like the little barbecue and stuff. There's a scene like this in The Last of Us where if you look close enough, you can see that they're actually cooking dogs. Like, the hot dogs are real dogs.
Nice.
Really, The Last of Us probably stole everything from this movie, and I'm going to expose the truth.
Now, who can blame them, though? I mean, something good had to come from this, because this wasn't good.
How old was George Romero at this point? Like, he must have been pretty old.
Oh, fuck. How old was he when he died? Like, he was 80, wasn't he?
Yeah, because I mean, I guess if fucking Night of the Living Dead came out in the late '60s, I mean, that's some deep, deep cuts, man.
Yeah, I think he was in the 70s or 80s when he died.
Did you watch any of his other movies? Like the only non-zombie movie I watched was I think it was called Martin.
Yeah, that vampire movie. That was really good.
Martin.
Martin.
Yeah, and that's I don't really remember it because I watched it while I was supposed to be working at the comic shop. But yeah, it's just I never really looked into him much. Like, oh shit, didn't expect that, did you, buddy? Didn't expect zombies to make it onto your little fancy island.
Angry zombies, too, because his people have been oppressed.
This is, I guess, like it is a little, just like all those zombies are just so coordinated. It almost looked like fucking Thriller there, where they just all walk up together.
This is, seriously, this is like the U.S. circa, what, 2021? Like,
Yeah,
like for real. There's the wall, and
it's true.
only thing is, he would be on the other side.
Yeah. That's gonna be the joke if America ever does build the wall, though. Is like I just feel like America's gonna collapse so quickly that they'll realize nobody wants to get in, and the wall will just be keeping people from escaping. Maybe not escaping to Mexico. That's a little much, but we're in trouble though up here in Canada. Like we got a lot of land to be filled up, and I mean I think America is gonna take us over when shit hits the fan.
Ah, man. I mean, American politics. I mean, let's not get too deep into this, but
Yeah, we could though. That's what zombie movies are all about, right? It's like fucking social commentary and shit.
the thing about American politics is that they're all fucking crazy. Like, I mean, I just watched a comedy thing, a stand-up thing by Patton Oswalt the other night on Netflix, and he was like, there's the election. We could vote for this well-educated woman. A couple issues here and there, but otherwise, solid plan, or the Cheeto.
Maybe though the one possible upside is like maybe this is so ridiculous that it'll like cause something to change. But I don't know. I can't really imagine how.
No. I keep wishing that I mean, it harkens back to the old days. Like, remember the good old days when presidents were assassinated? Like,
And isn't it weird that that doesn't happen more often? Like I was shocked after 9/11 that there were no more 9/11s. Like there was some stuff like London bombings happen pretty often in their subway system there. But as far as America, I was like, oh, they're in big trouble now. This is going to happen all the time. And then it just never happened anymore.
well, I mean, look out, because I mean, this fucking moron, like, he keeps goading this other idiot who has obviously will have no problem pushing the button. Like, I mean,
I guess I should mention too, just to clarify, I don't want more 9/11s to happen. I'm just surprised. That's all.
yeah, I mean, as a whole, Americans are just crazy. Like, fucking.
Well, that's one thing I guess I'm starting to learn in my ripe old age now is just like people, like whatever little tribe you're from, whatever society you grow up in, it's like very rare to find a person that can see outside of it. Like that's the main thing I kind of picked up on in the like year and a half I was in the States was they can't understand how we see them. Like they really just think like, hey, it's all about us. And it's like all those 80s movies with fucking Rambo and fucking I don't know, the A-Team and Hulk Hogan and just like rah 80s. They're still like that to them. Like they still think like we're fucking America, all that matters is us. And like,
Did you ever play Broforce?
no.
Oh man, you need to play Broforce. It's a fucking amazing game. Anyway, it's like America, fuck yeah! Like it's pretty great. Anyway, as far as it goes, I don't think America can take over Canada, and I don't think it's because of us. I think it's because of the good relations we have with literally every other country in the world. Because we don't make threats, we don't drop bombs, we don't like. What do? We go help people. That's what we do.
And I just think it's like weird too. Like Canada's in such a weird spot where kind of our whole job, because we get all American media and like American news, American shows. Our whole job is just to kind of watch America. Like we're the ones that could write the biography about America. And it's kind of depressing. It's like every day in the news, there's something stupid that happened south of us. And all we can do is just be like, well, Hope it doesn't cause a war. You know?
Yeah, the only thing I hope is that they keep making movies, because really American movies are the best, like, for real.
Yeah. Speaking of, oh my God, Land of the
Cholo.
Dead, amazing. Yeah, so I guess this guy, he's kind of racist. I guess that's what's funny is like this Dennis Hopper guy. He clearly is like a Trump type character, but it's just funny that the actual president of America is way crazier than a character from a movie. You know, this guy seems tame compared to the true reality right now.
I mean, I've seen some memes and stuff like that. I mean, they're all funny because they make fun of him, and he's a fucking retard. But zombie grown. But like, I just kind of see it like the guy has been in office for like what, since January, so like 10 months, and so far he has spent what, 70 or 80 days playing golf. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Hey, is John Leguizamo's character's name Cholo? Because they keep saying Cholo, and that's one thing. Maybe they're just like, hey, Cholo. But why did the subtitle refer to him as Cholo? I think that's his character's name.
Maybe.
That's really weird.
Why does the Macaulay Culkin looking guy have a machine gun and a skateboard?
Oh, I was gonna say earlier one thing that happened. I guess the smart zombie thing. I'm gonna backpedal a little bit. It is a little much because Big Daddy picked up a gun, like an assault rifle, and he just knew how to use it and started shooting stuff, and that's way too much. Like, I kind of like the idea of a zombie being a little bit smart, but you can't have them running around shooting guns at shit and aiming them properly.
Man, this is where I totally think un-PC thoughts. So, zombie grown. But no, this movie's fucking dog shit. Like, I'm getting rid of this. Like, what a waste. Good thing it was like good thing it only cost like $10, because man, what a stinker.
Yeah, and it really is kind of sad of like the legacy of George Romero that Diary of the Dead was so much worse even than this. Like, it really just went down hardcore. Like, maybe it would have been better if he never got any money to make more movies, you know? We just remember the old ones.
By the looks of things, he didn't get much money to make this. Like, I mean, it's not that fucking great. Oh, Asia Argento. Big deal. She can't even save this movie.
Man, well, I guess we'll just wait till something happens now in this film. We'll comment on it. I wonder how far in we are. This is maybe we should just complain about America more. It seems to fucking his name is Cholo. That's weird, man. It's really weird.
Cholo. Yeah, we're at the halfway point.
We made it halfway before we hit a lull in the conversation. That's not too bad.
A lull. I don't think it's really a lull. I mean, it's just there's nothing going on in this movie. Look at this ugly motherfucker.
Someone just called him a retard, man. This movie. Holy shit. I hope they put a zombie moan over that in the actual soundtrack of the movie.
This movie's so fucking bad.
All right, so I guess as far as just dumbass, silly zombie movies, where would you put this compared to like the first Resident Evil? Because that was like kind of good. It was sort of a silly, slick, pointless zombie movie, but I didn't hate it.
No, I really enjoyed it, actually. I enjoyed the first Resident Evil movie. I can't say very much good about all the other ones, but
Yeah, I never saw the other ones. I just saw the first one. So.
I saw the second and the third one and bits of the fourth one, and I didn't see the fifth or the sixth.
God, there's so fucking many. Wasn't the third one, though, where it got all Mad Max all of a sudden? It was in, like, that seemed kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I think it was the fourth one where it got all Mad Max, you know, like all dystopian, and they're out in the desert and stuff, but I don't know. The first one was really good. The second one was kind of a step back, but it, you know, I guess it was okay.
And the movie industry too, it's just so unpredictable and weird. Like, who would have thought that Resident Evil movies would just be the franchise that never stops. Like, we'll just make them forever.
Man, I gotta stop buying movies at random because, like, I've got this one, and now I'm looking at this box set I bought at Game Center. I bought all 4 Underworld movies, and I'm like, what kind of mistake did I make there now?
I only saw one of those, like the third one, I think. But since I never saw the other ones, I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
The first one was okay. I don't remember the second one. I think it was just. I think all those movies are honestly just an excuse to get Kate Beckinsale into like pleather, but whatever. That doesn't do anything for me anyway.
So here's a pointless comment, but it's always something I notice in movies. So they just showed a full body shot of Dennis Hopper, and it's funny how like so many actors are it's that thing I guess people always say, like when you meet them they're a lot shorter than you expect, and you can't really tell as long as the camera shot doesn't show their whole body, and then when you see someone's whole body you're like, oh yeah, that guy's pretty short. I don't know what the point of that comment is, but that's just something I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Tom Cruise, you know. From what I heard, he wore like platform shoes and stuff like that so that he would be at least on equal height to the female lead.
And you know who's not fucking short, who I around the same time this came out, was so the coffee shop I worked at in downtown Vancouver, I must have told you this story, probably told you a million times, that Ben Affleck came in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's like 6'4", and he's like this was 2004 also, he's like looked like a statue, just beautiful man. And I'm pretty tall, but I had to look up to this dude, and I'm just like, holy shit.
You can't say, I can't say anything bad about Batfleck. I am a fan of Ben Affleck. Like, I mean, yeah, you know, he did some shitty movies like Gigli and the theatrical cut of Daredevil and Paycheck, I believe it was called, because that's what he got for it. I mean, but short of that, I mean, like,
yeah, he was a great Batman. I actually liked him better than Christian Bale as a Batman. Like, I like the Christian Bale Batman movies, but I don't give a shit about Christian Bale's Batman.
Batman. Do you ever see that YouTube video with the kid who pretends to be Batman?
No.
Oh my goodness, I'll show you later. It's this kid and he's dressed up like Batman, and it's like a day in the life of, and he's like sitting there and he kind of looks like a, and his mom's like, hey, what do you want for breakfast? And he goes, justice, and then he punches her in the face. It's so great. And then he has the dog, and he's holding the dog up to his face, and he's like, where is she? Where is she? It's just, it's amazing. It's so good. But yeah, Christian Bale, honestly, he wasn't a great Batman, but Ben Affleck was a fucking good Batman.
Yeah, he was the best part of that movie. I mean, he was great. It's so weird with Christian Bale, too, because he is one of those guys you think of as, like, an actor, you know? Like, he's been an actor since he was a kid, and he did all that weird shit, like, where he lost all that weight for The Machinist or whatever, and like, why would he do that with Batman? Like, why would he be the worst Batman? It's so weird.
Yeah, and he really wasn't a good Batman. I mean, he wasn't like George Clooney bad or Val Kilmer bad, but he was bad, you know?
Man, that was so insane, too. I didn't see Batman and Robin for years, till years later. But it was so much worse than I even could have imagined, with his Bat credit card and his Bat skates. And there's a part where he like punches a guy, and as the guy flies off screen, it does like that whistle sound of like whoop. Like, it's a little bit buried in the soundtrack, but
that's
it's
the
in
Schumacher one, right?
Yeah, the second Schumacher one. It's so fucking shitty.
Now, I want you to think 2 seconds about this. Joel Schumacher did that movie, and he also did The Lost Boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Lost Boys had those little, like the sax man, like little moments where you're like, all right, this guy doesn't know what the fuck's going on. This is really weird. But overall, yeah, like, what a drop. Like, holy shit.
Like, that movie was, well, I mean, quite honestly, it's one of my top 5 favorite vampire movies ever.
And
like,
anything with Corey Feldman in it gets points from me.
Not me. Fuck him. Fuck that guy. He's fucked. But, you know, I mean, amazing movie, you know.
I mean, are you saying, let's take a random movie like, I don't know, let's say Land of the Dead. Are you saying this wouldn't be better with Corey Feldman in it? What if Corey Feldman played every role? What if he was every zombie and every character?
What if he was wearing H. Argento's outfit?
Yeah, okay, that might not be as good, but
It was kind of funny watching the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, the 7.5 hour long Friday the 13th documentary, and how many times he was like, "Yeah, they should totally like make another Friday the 13th movie and have me in it with them because I'm the only one that Jason didn't beat," and blah 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 blah. I mean, they only had two other guys play that character, and neither one of them looked like him.
So, speaking of shitty special effects and this movie being shitty, did you happen to catch what just happened there? So, there was a zombie they had decapitated, but there was still a piece of skin holding on his head, right? So, the head was hanging off the body by the piece of skin, and the zombie whipped itself forward. The head, like, whipped up like it was on a string and bit a guy. That just happened. It's fucking unbelievable. What a piece of shit. And it looked all fake in CG.
I did not catch that.
God damn it. Yeah, this is like, I mean, granted, we're only paying the vaguest amount of attention, but this is not holding up at all.
No. This is a regret. This is a regret. I mean, I pirated it, and now thinking back, I got my money's worth. Like,
I was so surprised when I saw, like, oh, Land of the Dead, and I was so shocked. And then when I got to the theater and there was no lineup, I didn't understand.
I'd much rather talk about Ben Affleck than this.
Man, that was also back in this era. What was it was like a King Arthur movie or something that came out around that time. That I had this little period between apartments where for like 3 days I was like homeless, but not really homeless. I had money and stuff. I just wanted to see what it was like to be homeless, kind of. And I ended up going into this fucking boring ass King Arthur movie. Who made that movie? It was like, I think it was, I don't remember. It was this totally forgotten movie, but it was long. It was like 2.5 hours.
Who the fuck was in it?
I don't even remember, because it's like, it wasn't the Joan of Arc movie, and it wasn't the Guy Ritchie one. It was just in the middle somewhere. There was like another King Arthur movie. But I slept through it. Like, I'd sleep and then go to the bathroom in between when they reset the theater, and then go slept through it again. And I slept through it like 4 times, and then I just stayed up all night. Like, that was my version of being homeless, was to sleep through movies.
You're fucking weird.
Yeah, it wasn't a great restful time in my life. I don't recommend it.
Man, Dennis Hopper, I mean, he's dead and everything like that, but he did an awful lot. He did a bunch of paycheck movies too. Like, for real.
Although I got to say, I can never hold that against somebody. Like, I kind of like in a way when people are just in shit. Like, so that guy Uwe Boll, who just every movie is the worst thing in the world, and how he got Ben fucking Kingsley to be in Blood Rain or whatever. And like, I just love that Ben Kingsley was like, yeah, all right. Like, you got fat German cash. All right, let's do it.
Did you ever see Lucky Number 11?
Yeah, yes.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and that holds up. Not like this.
This would be such a great, like, fucking, if we just, it's not a good idea, but if we deliberately just pick bad movies and we just only talk about what other movies we wish we were watching.
I don't know. I mean, this could make a good second book.
Yeah, just, you know what though? I feel like even this, like, even though we're not paying very close attention, and like you could argue we're not being fair to this movie, but I feel like there's like something in your subconscious that can tell. Like, even if you're only watching something out of the corner of your eye, you can still tell if it sucks, or you can tell if it's something you should go back and watch. It's like, I feel like when you're watching like wrestling with a bunch of people and you're all just talking and you're only kind of watching, you can still tell when it's an awesome match. And that's how I feel about this movie. Like, yeah, sure, we could be paying more attention and we'd have slightly more knowledge about fucking Dennis Hopper and how his dumb city works, but why bother? Who gives a shit?
I kind of, feel bad when I do pay attention to this movie. like, fuck, man.
Yeah,
you picked a lemon. We could be watching basketball right now.
Yeah, that was Ray's idea, and that would have been a much better choice.
Infinitely better. Infinitely.
I don't know. I was looking through your shelf and I was saying that's like a neat thing too, because you have so many movies, and like it is like this neat thing of like you do the first scan, and then on the second pass through you start noticing movies you didn't see the first time, and then like the third time through, I'm just like, oh, fucking Land of the Dead. Something in my head was like, that's the one. That's what we need to watch.
That's the one you chose out of the multitude of movies that I own. You know, I've spent the last several years curating, manicuring this collection, and what you chose was this cinematic abortion.
Because I was even thinking, so yeah, so like I started lately just to practice editing. I started making music videos for songs I like out of movies. And I don't think I even could with this. Like, even if I took this movie and I just chopped out the 3.5 minutes of coolest looking scenes, it's just going to be a bunch of CG bullshit with like heads hanging off by a thread that, like, it's not going to be cool.
No, there's nothing cool about this.
Unless, I don't know, maybe that'd be like a test for myself. Maybe I'll try it. Like, maybe I can try to edit around the bad parts of this movie and find cool looking stuff. And maybe if I like turn it black and white to like make it like it was like, tie it in with the original, that might be cool, maybe.
Or you could just put in the original Night of the Living Dead and pretend this movie never existed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, even just that every little scene looks so shitty whenever there's like, how hard is it to get a squib and put some blood in it, man? Just get like a condom and fill it with water and food coloring and it would look better than that.
Oh, look, a clown. I love clowns. Oh, sad day. Those aren't happy clowns.
So did those guys get turned into zombies while they were dressed as clowns? Is that what happened?
Oh, man. That's kind of hot.
Yeah, so now this tearing out guts doesn't look so bad. That's pretty cool. Because you kind of can't go wrong with practical gore. Like, even if it's kind of silly, it's still cool. And if it's cool, then it's cool.
I do love clowns.
Look at this guy's zombie acting. Like, what a shitty zombie. That's something that does kind of offend me, is like when people are bad at being zombies.
They're all bad. Look at them. It looks like they're at a sock hop in like the 8th grade.
They're just like swaying around a little, like, I don't know what to do.
But yeah, that's how they dance. Look at this motherfucker. Ooh, pretty. Pretty lights.
So that was one thing that was kind of interesting about the zombie survival guide is, I mean, I guess that's the classic sort of cliche about zombies, is that it's not really the zombies, it's like just society that is the problem. But that book really did kind of nail that home, of like, because it dealt with slow zombies, and it's like, really, if you can just get on the 2nd floor and block the stairs, you're fine. No, it's really the looters and shit that you got to worry about. They're gonna come shoot your head off.
But then that was genius, and this movie is Land of the Dead. I feel like all I'm doing is saying how bad this movie is, and it's unavoidable.
Yeah, it's just Cholo. Why is his name Cholo? That's so weird.
So racist. Like, what the fuck?
Hey, yo. Yeah, like, maybe that's why George Romero couldn't get funding for another movie for so many years, is because he's like, and then the character Beaner does, like, I don't even know what are good racist names for Mexicans. I'm leaving that one in, by the way. I'm not going to zombie it, because that wasn't me. That was George Romero.
Oh, man. That's so good. Beaner.
That used to drive me nuts, though. I hated so much the ending of the original Night of the Living Dead. Like, I know it was supposed to be like a commentary on racist rednecks, and they shoot Ben because they see he's a black dude, potentially, whatever. It just bugged me from a structure standpoint that he survived the whole night and he just got shot. Like, I actually liked it better in the remake that at least he got zombified. Like, it's more dignified.
Yeah, it's like, all that fight, and then, he's fucking dead anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe a twist ending like that was a little bit cooler in 1968. But, yeah, to me, I was just like, I just watched that whole movie and you fucking... I'll tell you one thing that always sticks in my mind about Night of the Living Dead, that it's like, I guess it kind of fits with this too, because, like, so he had money in this movie, but obviously not enough money, and, like, it looks a little shitty and the special effects are kind of shitty. I love the part in the original Night of the Living Dead where Ben talks about the city, but they didn't have any money to show it. Because, if they showed it, it would have looked like shit.
Oh, yeah.
But just him describing what the city was like was so awesome. And I always, remembered that lesson. Like, if I ever get to make a movie, is like, if we can't do it right, just don't do it. Have someone just talk about it. And if you do it right, it'll be awesome. Because the way he talked about the city was so scary and so fucked up. And you're like, okay, they're having a bad time in this cabin, but at least they're not there. Because that shit sounds terrible. And yeah, it was just cool because that cost like 10 cents to just film the guy. It cost nothing.
Why does this dude need money?
Yeah.
Like, why does he need bags of money?
Yeah, definitely the money thing. This should definitely be a dog based economy where it's just how many
That's random.
dog kebabs could you eat? Yeah, why are there just chicks making out that just got eaten? What is happening in this movie? What the fuck?
Oh man, George Romero is a weird fucking dude.
So I guess too, because I guess one of our ideas was to do, so for the book idea is the 40 movies that you picked out that are like interesting movies to discuss. So we were like, all right, cool, we can do podcasts about those 40 movies and we'll get around to it eventually. But maybe this could be our sub series of like, how come this movie's not on the list? It's like, well, here's why.
Yeah, Land of the Dead. You know, I mean,
And I guess I like too, like I like that a lot of the movies on your list are not like, there's a lot of classics, but then there's a lot of, maybe not the obvious thing. Because even if it's like not a great movie, if there's something interesting about it in its place in history or something interesting to talk about. But I am struggling. I don't know what to say about this movie. This is just a totally normal, half-assed movie.
I don't think there's anything normal about this. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, George Romero did such great fucking movies, and then this happened.
I guess too, there's always though, like I do think sometimes about that train spotting line of just like, first you've got it, then you lose it, and then it's gone forever. And like, it's sad, but it's true. It's like once you get old, people that are old suck at everything. Like it's gonna happen. I can feel it happening to me. Like I used to care, and I don't care anymore about things. And like that's just gonna get worse. When I'm 70, I'm not gonna give a fuck about anything.
Except giving blowjobs.
Yeah, those might get better because like I won't be in my head about it. I'll just let it happen.
And you'll have less teeth.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess not everything gets worse, but like. Yeah, because like even like super famous directors, whoever, Scorsese or whatever, like they're still making movies, but nobody cares anymore. Like you just hit that point where you're just not relevant anymore, and it just doesn't. It's just who gives a shit.
I don't know. Scorsese still kind of bats 1,000 with me. I mean, his movies are. I mean, he's got a specific style that I really like, and of course the ultra violence that he has that goes along with it. Like, I mean, The fucking Departed was amazing, and he's got this new movie coming out called The Irishman, which is about Frank Sheeran.
That does seem cool.
And
so yeah, maybe I'll roll back on the Scorsese thing. That's just the name that came out of my face, but that might not have been a good example.
James Cameron.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
Jesus.
a great example.
That really is sad because like I can't think of a guy who was more excellent who became more plain. Like,
Yeah.
just crazy. Like, I mean, Titanic, I guess, was the turn of just like, ever since then, it's just been like, who gives a shit?
Avatar is like one of my most hated movies.
Yeah, I really feel like it was just because that was when 3D had just come back. So that was cool just to see a 3D movie. But now I'm so done. Like, when I went to see Blade Runner the other day, I went to like 4 theaters so I wouldn't have to see it in 3D. And I finally found one that didn't have 3D. But yeah, back then, Avatar's like, oh, cool, 3D. But yeah, the movie, Unobtainium? You're fucking kidding? Like, that's so shitty.
So, the black zombie gave the white chick zombie a machine gun, and she machine gunned someone up.
Yeah. Yeah, and these are not good zombie actors at all. Like,
that one zombie with the meat cleaver kind of reminds me of Clu Gulager from Return of the Living Dead, like the mortician.
that was one thing. So yeah, going back to Return of the Living Dead, one thing I did respect about that movie is I liked the insane hopelessness of it. That when they like grind up all the zombies or like put them in the oven and then the smoke gets into the clouds and now everyone's going to be a zombie and it's just like nothing you can do will stop this. I kind of respected that about it, that it was just insane.
Well, tonally, that movie was like solid as far as I was concerned. Like there didn't really ever seem to be a point in that movie where I was disinterested. Like right from the get-go, like right from them being in the factory and seeing all the medical supplies and whatever, like right through to his punk friends coming to pick him up from work, and then the zombie stuff happens, and so on and so forth. It just, the movie just goes, and it's fucking great at what it does. I can't say that about this movie.
That's one thing too I would be interested to try is like, because a lot of like when a movie has that awesome flow, it really does seem like it's down to just like if you have a good editor. And I wonder, like, if I could get my hands on all the rough footage for this movie, say, could I, like, you couldn't fix it, but could I make it better? I don't know. Like, I've even heard stories about Star Wars. Like, apparently, Star Wars, the first edit, was really lame. Like, it was just really stale and just boring feeling. And then they hired another guy to come in and re-edit it. And through the editing, they made it into Star Wars. Like, I wonder if you could do that with this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I doubt it highly. I mean,
yeah, you'd have to be the greatest genius of all time. But that's one thing too with CG stuff. So I heard that that's a big reason why movies are less flexible about that kind of thing. Is I mean, the extreme examples are like Marvel movies, but I'm sure it even was a bit of a thing with this because you have to know what scenes are going to be CG like months in advance or like a year in advance, and those scenes can't change. Like, that's got to be what it is so that they have time for the computer boys to get on their fucking computers and jockey it up with their fucking computer shit. So
I gotta make a gunshot wound. I gotta make a knife wound. Blah blah blah. Speaking of which, did you hear that Zombie's gonna be making another movie with the Firefly Clan?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So hopefully it's a return to form because, man, have you seen Lords of Salem?
No, the last one I saw was Halloween. I didn't see Halloween 2 either. I only saw the first one, but that was cool.
We'll watch 2. I actually like 2. A lot of people hate it, but I really like his Halloween movies. Lords of Salem is a gigantic piece of shit, and 31 was, I really liked it, but the problem is that he keeps hiring his no talent fucking wife.
How did they not get divorced yet? It's been ages, man. Fucking.
Yeah, well, by this point, he would have to pay her so much money. Like,
It's just not worth it.
just not worth it. I mean,
Man, that's funny because I remember hearing a Kevin Smith interview where someone asked him about like casting couch stuff, and he was just like, it was like surprisingly logical. I never really thought about it this way. That he's like, why would you ruin your movie just for a piece of ass? Like, it's not worth it, Like, just to get laid, you're gonna hire the wrong person for your movie. And that's kind of the situation Rob Zombie's in. Like these like more extreme version of that where he's like, gotta keep my wife happy.
yeah, I mean, she's just not a good actress. I mean, she was pretty good in the first 2 movies, but
Yeah, she seemed like appropriate for Baby. Was that her name?
yeah, Baby Firefly. But I mean, really, I mean, everything she was in after that was just, it just seems like, I mean, for Christ's sakes, when I went to see Rob Zombie, not this past summer, but the summer before, she came out on stage for a minute. I'm like, are you fucking, you can't leave her home for a couple minutes? Like she doesn't have other things to do?
It's weird too with like, yeah, the House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects character. Like when the character is supposed to be obnoxious, it's like, hey, you nailed it. But then that the reason, hey, Tom Savini, the reason that she did so well is because that's what she is,
I love Tom Savini.
Yeah, that's one thing. So yeah, I just watched From Dusk Till Dawn a little while ago because you had it on your list and I'd somehow never seen it. And that was a funny movie to read up trivia about and stuff. That they're like, yeah, that's Tom Savini's real whip, and he's actually excellent at whipping.
He really is, yeah.
It's just funny.
Have you seen Full Tilt Boogie?
No, I wanted to see it, but I couldn't find it.
It's really good. It's really good. You can find it if you buy a copy of the DVD because it comes with the DVD. So I mean, I guess if you want a DVD,
Yeah, it's a shame that pirates are not more interested in bonus features because, yeah, it's very hard to pirate stuff like that. But, yeah, like I would love to see that because, like, the making of From Dusk Till Dawn must be interesting because it's such a weird movie where it's, like, so serious crime drama at the start, and then super gore crazy fun time, like, Pee-wee's Playhouse crazy shit for the second half.
It definitely looks like two different movies. I mean, and I mean, really, Tarantino sells that
Yeah.
big time. Actually, both of them do. Tarantino and Clooney are amazing in that movie. Like,
Yeah, I loved Tarantino's character because, like, that's always the joke people make is, like, that Tarantino, the director, is awesome, but Tarantino, the actor, sucks. But he was so good at playing that guy, that just creepy ass dude. Again, yeah, it's like, what movie do we wish we were watching instead of the movie we're watching?
yeah, like Dazed and Confused. I'd much rather be watching Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny too with From Dusk Till Dawn of just like, like the scene near the start in the hotel room where Quentin Tarantino kills the bank teller lady for no good reason, and it's super creepy and just like disturbing. But then by the end of the movie, there's the part where there's the table that's upside down and they skewer 4 different vampires, one on each table leg. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how did that movie turn into this movie? Like, what the fuck just happened?
And I like at one point how the band turns into like these demonic looking vampires, and one of them's playing a guitar that's made out of human pieces. When the fuck did they have time to fashion that guitar?
I love too how it even kind of ties all in, like Robert Rodriguez stuff, where when you find out at the end that it's like the bar is part of an Aztec temple, and then that wrestling show that Robert Rodriguez produces, Lucha Underground, is an Aztec temple that they wrestle in. Like, he knows what he likes. Yeah, and like there's the different Aztec tribes, or how like a bunch of the wrestlers are from different tribes, and they fucking, it's pretty cool.
I remember watching the special features for the Sin City DVD, and he gave a cooking lesson, like how to make like
Tortillas or whatever. I saw that.
burritos or whatever. Like, it was pretty awesome.
Oh man, and yeah, I watched like one of the things about how he made El Mariachi, and it's so fucking interesting. It was just like so cheap, and like not like Kevin Smith cheap, where like Clerks was cheap, but it looks cheap. Like El Mariachi looks awesome, and it was also cheap. Like just awesome.
Yeah, look at this. Fuck.
Yeah, this movie, I guess, yeah, because it just doesn't go far enough in any direction. It's like, it's not goofy, but it's not serious. It's not like a cool low budget movie. It's not a super slick high budget movie. It's just the middle of everything.
I'd rather staple my dick to the table than watch this again. Like, for real.
Yeah, like I was gonna say for like our other commentaries in the future, like I'll watch the movie ahead of time and take some notes or something. But in this case, yeah, probably like what notes would I have taken? Like, who gives this? Probably the note I would have taken is let's not do this movie.
Like, this is not a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, man, I've seen so many movies so many times, and this one only once, and like you picked it, and I was like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Like, why not? Yawn.
We got to be coming up to getting close-ish to the big finale now, right?
Gotta go. What the fuck was that? And they just pulled that guy's arm in half like a fucking piece of licorice.
Yeah, and like this movie it's got quite a bit of gore, which normally would be cool, but yeah, it's just not that exciting.
It serves no purpose. Like, there's no purpose to it. It's just like, oh, we have a minute here and nothing's going on, so here's a couple scenes where we pull someone's arm apart, or here's a scene where John Leguizamo's on screen. Like,
Man, though, somebody went above and beyond with these subtitles where like they're not just in the center of the screen. Like, they'll go over, like they put them underneath the guy who's talking and whatever.
like, so he got bit by a zombie, and he's still not a good actor.
Yeah, there was that weird period where like, man, he was in everything. Like, he was in Super Mario, he was in Spawn, and he was in Tu Wong Fu. I don't know. I never saw that, but I saw the box. He was in The Pest. Yeah, it's like you just couldn't get away from John Leguizamo for a while. And like, he's not awful, but it's just, I don't know why he caught on for a while.
I don't know, but think about all the movies you just listed.
Oh, is that fucking Toronto? This is totally Toronto.
Yeah.
I recognize that it's by the Hockey Hall of Fame, this building or whatever, that ceiling, whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll look it up later, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, fucking. Oh, Toronto. Oh, Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, Canada.
I worked down the street in Vancouver from where they were filming Good Luck Chuck with Dane Cook. Jealous?
No. No, I'm not.
Yeah, that's totally. I've been to this building. That's totally. Unless there's a extremely similar. No, yeah, that's Toronto. Because then there's a food court underneath those weird tiles on the floor that are like, yeah, totally. I've been there. It's like Front and Young.
Yeah, I mean, I am jealous that you met Affleck, or that you...
Yeah, oh, it was great too. So let me tell you the tale, since whatever, we got some time to kill. So it was me and this Korean girl, Sunny, who was like there on a work visa or whatever. And she didn't like she was there to try to learn English, but she just got worn out with English. So she didn't like to do the register and talk to customers, and I didn't like making lattes. So we had a perfect little setup where I'd just run the register all day and bullshit with people, and she'd make the lattes. So the place was really packed. Like, it was crowded, and Ben Affleck came in with like, he had like a ball cap and sunglasses on, but he wasn't really hiding himself that much. But nobody noticed him except me. Like, everyone was just doing their work or whatever. And I was just like, whoa, holy shit. Like, hey, man. Like, I didn't say, like, you're Ben Affleck, but it was just like, it was obvious that I recognized him or whatever. He was there because I remember, so I blabbed to him for a little bit. This was like when his career was kind of just like in a real doldrum of like 2004. He was working on this movie called Man About Town that went straight to DVD. And I remember I saw it at Blockbuster like a year later, and I still didn't rent it. I'm like, whatever, I'm not renting this. But we just blabbed a little bit, and I remember I told him that I really liked the commentary tracks that he did on Kevin Smith movies. Like, the nerdiest thing I could have ever said, but that's just what came to mind. So I'm like, man, I love your commentary tracks with Kevin Smith. They're so funny. And he's just like, yeah, thanks. Kevin puts a lot of work into stuff or whatever. And then he got his latte, and he paid with a Visa and like a little Ben Affleck Visa slip or whatever. But then what was super awesome is after he left, the girl Sunny, her real name was Sung Hee, but she called herself Sunny. She's like, that was Matt Damon. And I was like, so close. And she's like, Pearl Harbor? And I was like, you're so close. It's Ben Affleck. Like, yeah.
Affleck was in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, so she knew the movie, but she didn't know the name. She's just like, Matt Damon.
You're like, no, you were at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Don't think I'm going to forget.
It didn't occur to you for 2 seconds to say to Affleck, like, you were the bomb in Phantoms? Because that's the first thing I would have said.
Oh, the other line that would have been great that the girl I was dating came up with, I never would have been this clever, but it would have been so awesome to say, like when he came in, just be like, man, I got to see you on billboards and shit all the time, and now you're at my work too. That would have been great. Yeah, that was cool. And the other there was 2 other cool people that came in. There was Michael Rooker, who at the time I only knew from Mallrats, but now he's in Guardians and everything. But he was interesting because he knew where people knew him from. Because that night I was working with this chick from like Czechoslovakia, who was older than me, and anyway, he knew that I knew him as Mr. Svenning, but he knew she knew him from some soap opera or something he was on. Like, he just knew. Because we all, like, our faces both lit up, like, you're that guy. And he knew why we would know him. Because he did, like, the stink palm thing with me. Anyway, so that was cool. And the other one.
What movie do you think I would have known him from?
Well, and also this was, like, 2004-ish. So it was, like, because when did I? No, Slither came out later. He was in that, too. I might have known him from that. But I'm trying to think what he was in. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course that's that makes sense. Oh, someone just got run over.
Oh, sad day.
Fuck you, buddy.
Oh,
Zombies with no legs. Yeah, I wonder if I could make a music video out of this. Maybe. I'm gonna try. But
not a good one.
Yeah. You'll have to pick like sort of a goofy song, something silly. But the other
that dollar store Patricia Arquette.
The other person I met was Chris Lemch, his name is, but he's the drug dealer from Ginger Snaps. And he was...
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was really happy that I recognized him because I got the feeling he didn't often get recognized, because he was in that and he was in some Much Music like sitcom thing that only ran for 10 episodes where he was like a manager of a band or something.
Wow.
Which I don't even remember the name of, but But yeah, I was just like, oh, dude, ginger snaps. I fucking love ginger snaps. And I could tell he was really kind of jazzed about being recognized because he was like, dude, you work here a lot? And I was like, yeah, every night. I'm gonna come back. Like, you come back and get my coffees here. And he never did because I think he realized after he's like, oh, that'd be really lame just because one guy likes me who works there. But I could really tell at the time in that moment he was just like, I feel like a celebrity. This rules.
Well, I mean, I didn't. I met a couple of people here and there. Mostly though at Comic-Con. When I went to Niagara Falls Comic-Con, I met Linda Blair from The Exorcist, and she was a fucking bitch. Like she just was not friendly. She was kind of like, don't you dare take a picture of me with your cell phone, because if you want a picture of me, you're paying $60. Like, fuck you. But Elvira, however, she was amazing. Like, she was super nice. Like, she like grabbed my arm and was super friendly and bubbly, and
it sort of makes sense too, because like I wonder about that sometimes with like, if you're a celebrity who got famous for like a genre film and you don't actually like that shit, like that must be weird, where just your whole life now is about that and you never wanted it to be. Whereas Elvira totally seems like she is actually into that shit.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun. Linda Blair, it's funny because when you go to these things, if you want something autographed and you bring something, they'll autograph it. But they all come pre-packaged, I guess, with tons of like glossy photographs that you can choose from, and they're free, and they'll autograph it for you.
Right.
So long as you pay for the autograph, they'll give you the free picture that they'll autograph. And Elvira's, it's her picture. I mean, you can see it from here, and she like tagged it or whatever, and it was cool. But Linda Blair's, if you see the red trim around the picture, it's actually hiding her stupid animal rescue thing, because she's like big into that. Like, everything she handed out was like, she had pamphlets, she had the animal rescue thing, and I'm like, fuck you, I just want your picture as Regan.
Yeah, that's extra lame too. Like, just like tying in your little cause to something that is just like couldn't be less relevant.
And I met the dude that played Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore, and he was super nice. I met Tom Savini. I met the guy that played Jason in the first Friday the 13th, like Ari Lehman.
What, you mean like the little kid Jason?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's not little though. He's like, that dude's like fucking 6'4", 6'5".
That's kind of awesome that the kid Jason would have grown up to be real Jason.
Yeah. I mean, he's got like Weird Al sort of hair, like it's all curly and long and stuff, and he's got a band, and I think they're called the Jasons. I don't know. Like, he's really fixated on having been the first Jason, and that's how he signs things too, like the first Jason.
So one thing that happened in this movie that I do think is cool is the fireworks. I forgot about that, where they shoot off fireworks because it makes the zombies all stop, and it's like they're just too dumb to not look up and watch the fireworks. I think that's pretty cool. That's a clever little zombie thing. But it's not enough to save our hero, Donald Trump.
No. Trumpo está dedo.
There is a point here too. So like, where this Big Daddy dude, he's just, if you're this smart, I'm starting to turn on this concept. Like, why is he even a zombie? Like, what's the point if he can figure out how to smash a, gas thing into a car, and now he's gonna light it all on fire? Like, he's just too goddamn smart.
Yeah, I don't even fucking remember. And he's just concerned about this money. Like,
yeah, so dumb. It just makes no sense at all.
What the fuck's going on here? Like, man.
Oh, maybe Big
This
Daddy
actually looks like my workplace.
I mean, maybe now that we've established some Toronto, could be.
Might be. Oh, he's a zombie too.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Either that or he's the toughest fucking cholo in the world.
And he just threw his gun. He's like, "Fuck you. We're gonna do this the old ways."
Oh. Goodness. Racial slurs. The S word.
Oh, spick. Like, why these bags of money so important? Where are you going to spend them? There's no fucking Walmart there.
That is one thing that would be cool that never really gets handled is zombie movies are always in America and maybe like a little bit of like we're going to escape to Canada type of shit. But they never do like just like France or Sweden or something. Like what's going on over there?
He doesn't really look like he's a zombie. He kind of looks like a boy band member. Like it's like they actually made him look a little younger by making him a zombie.
Oh, there's Big Daddy finally finishing his fire plan.
Oh,
yeah,
day.
it really is. This is too smart, way too smart. Like, I like small amounts of smart, but this is too smart. And yeah, the money thing. Like, yeah, where are you gonna spend it? You fucking idiot. There's one Wawa still open. You'll like get a fucking hot dog.
Yeah, maybe there's a Costco somewhere. You know, he's gonna load up on those $2 hot dog and pop combos. Like,
I mean, you know what this reminds me of with their crazy their big crazy battle van.
G.I. Joe.
I was gonna say with the remake of Dawn of the Dead, where they build their cool battle thing or whatever, and this wicked song plays. But that reminded me the only thing I don't like about the remake of Dawn of the Dead is they've got their plan all set up and they got their big battle vehicle and they're all set to whatever their plan was going to be. They got it all planned out, and then they leave early because this one bitch's dog escaped. And they're like, well, I guess we better go try to save her dog. And that is like the most offensive writing I've ever seen in a movie in my whole life. Because I'm like, why don't they just say, hey, guess what? Fuck you and fuck your dog. Because who cares? It's the zombie apocalypse.
You want your dog? Go for a walk, bitch. Because that's the only way you're finding it. Because
that's one thing I would love to do is to, I guess, like maybe like buy someone's script that's just like got dumb shit like that in it and then rewrite it. So every time someone says something stupid, someone else just kills them. Like just immediately. It's like, we don't need you. That'd be great.
My fuck, this movie's bad. God damn, I regret buying this. God fucking damn it.
So yeah, our big plan is this is like a little bit of a placeholder of like, you know, we just want to get our podcast thing up, RSS feed, get it on iTunes, and then I'm leaving town for the winter, so we won't have things going properly till like whatever spring 2018. But I just want people to know, if you're listening to this is our test, and this is not necessarily how things are going to go in the future.
No, please do not judge us by this episode, because honestly there's nothing redeeming about this movie, and we were just honest, like this is just filling time basically. Like,
I guess too, it's like, because I've never tried to do like a movie commentary before. This would be a totally fine movie if you're flipping through channels or just something you throw on just to do kind of what we're doing, just to bullshit and talk about whatever and just hang out. But it's that little bit of extra, like the fact that we're recording this is like, all right, we got to at least fill the time. We got to at least find something to talk about. And this movie is not making it easy.
So these people just cleared out all these fucking zombies. All of a sudden done, and all of a sudden there's these other people that show up and like, hey, let's build this place into a fucking awesome town. So
yeah, they got the, oh shit, it's not over yet. So their plan is to go to Canada, of course, classic. And Day of the Dead ended with the helicopter that was it a boat, helicopter, whatever? They land on an island. So, but Dawn of the Dead, I remember, so it had the helicopter flying off into the distance ending, which I thought was awesome because like you don't know where they're gonna go or how much gas they got, but maybe they'll live. But the original ending they were gonna film was everyone dies. And how do you feel about that? You're a little bit of a fan of everyone dies as a plot point.
I would be a fan of everyone in this movie dying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't mind tragedy in a movie. I don't mind, you know, people dying for no reason. Like, I just don't care so long as there are people dying. But, like...
Who's this Castle-ass motherfucker? Like, we're supposed to care that he's still alive? Like, John was almost dead. He was clearly the only one that, you know, mattered in this movie.
And, like...
The guy with half his face burned is still alive? He should have died an hour ago.
Yeah, just because of his face. Yeah. But, like...
Just movie prejudice. It's like, you need to die.
All these zombies are walking across the bridge at the end of the movie, and this castle fucking guy goes, no, they're just like us. And he spares their lives. Like, are you fucking shitting me? What the fuck is wrong with you? Blow that bridge up.
This must be the end shot, eh? Driving away, and there's the fireworks. Yeah, that was it.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow. And it just ended like, boom, done. We're done.
Well, we made it. I mean, at least that movie was only 90 minutes, right? That's a bonus.
Oh, fuck.
Because that is one thing. I feel like movies...
Simon Baker.
Nice. Yeah, movies, I like at least when movies... That's one thing I like about horror movies. They're generally short, and I'm a fan of the short movie. So I'll give this movie 10 out of 10 A+, because it was kind of short. That's all I'm looking for.
Kissing women. Those are people in the movie.
Yeah, what was that all about?
Kissing women, topless woman, arena fight zombies.
Photo booth zombie, legless zombie, Temperance Street zombie. Yeah.
I don't know. What scale are we gonna rate our movies on? Like, are we gonna give them like a...
I always kind of like letter grades because I feel like numbers are a little... I don't know. Like, I like the letter grade thing because it's just more what you feel like. Like, I feel like this was... I'm gonna say C+ because... I'm shocked that I'm giving it that high because there was just like a little bit of this that I feel like if I watch this again and I just watched it by myself, maybe I could slightly get into it about just like, let's really look at this Big Daddy guy.
That's what you thought this time.
And let's really see what this smart zombie shit is all about. But I'm quite sure there's nothing there. So your thing is C+ is way too high?
Holy fuck, are you kidding me?
Because I guess the way I'm looking at it is, if you want to watch a movie that... Because I guess, like, I always liked how his movies deal with different weird shit, like how... About zombies. Like how Day of the Dead, they talk about how zombies don't actually digest flesh, and, like, whether they eat people or not makes no difference, because you can take out a zombie's stomach, and he still eats, and he still lives, and, like, I like the mechanics of zombies. So if you want to watch a movie about smart zombies, as dumb as that is, this is the only one. So, as like a textbook about smart zombies, this is the only text.
No. Maybe it is the only text, but that's because
that doesn't...
it shouldn't be.
Right.
I'm going to give this movie a D-.
All right.
A D-. The reason it didn't get an F is because it's a movie.
Right, they actually made a movie.
It's a movie, and that's it.
Well, I guess let's work out our grading system. Now you are making my C+ seem insanely high.
It's terrible. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
So but let's explore the scale. So what could we watch that could be an F? Like a unreleased version of a movie or something, or like what could be an F?
The sequel to this. Like,
but are we going to say that if it is a complete movie with a beginning, middle, and end, it at least gets a D-?
no, I think the only reason, honestly, that it doesn't get an F is because it's a Romero movie, and there's some props.
So I'd say I don't know, if we even it out, your D- and my C+, we probably come to about a D, because
you love the D.
Yeah, but that sounds... Yeah, there's Toronto referenced in the credits. See, maybe that's another thing. If I watch this again, maybe that's what I'll do. Like, if I do try to make a music video out of the clips from this, I'll just look for Toronto references. So, like, there's stuff in here. Basically, I guess what I'm saying is, if I was in jail and I could only watch this movie, there is stuff I could pay attention to. Like, oh, this time I'll look at Toronto references, and next time I'll look at Big Daddy, and next time I'll look at all the... It really did seem like all of the zombies were doing a bad job, but maybe that's like a funny thing, if like, look at all these shitty zombies.
Are you fucking telling me that you'd watch this movie 2 more times?
I mean, it would have to be... Oh, there you go. Shot on location in Ontario, Canada.
Because let me tell you this. This movie is so fucking bad that the only thing I would like to watch more than this movie is razors as I cut my own wrists.
I guess, though, that's one thing I like about genre type movies, and especially horror movies, is like I'm a lot more able to be okay with it sucking, because like I can find other things. Like, if it's a bad historical drama. I mean, even if it's a good historical drama, like I don't care about
Oh
this.
my
I
god,
don't want to
there's
watch it.
extras.
Oh man, the remaining bits. Yeah, I don't think we need that.
Don't we need the
Oh,
surviving bits.
I think this explains a lot. Zombie effects from green screen to finished scene.
Wow.
Yeah, like that should just be called "These effects suck."
Yeah. I don't even know. I don't have anything witty to say. This is fucking terrible. Like,
All right. Well, we did it. That's our first official commentary. Would like to officially apologize because this was my idea. However, we're both slightly to blame because you bought this movie. If you didn't own it, I wouldn't have been able to pick it.
Yeah, and I did intend on watching it at some point. So I mean, I would have figured it out at some point. But honestly, I mean, I don't want anyone that listens to this, and I'm going to reiterate this. I don't want anyone to listen to this to think that this is what they can expect from every review from us, because when we start our actual list of 40 movies, maybe with the odd special episode here or there,
yeah, it's all movies that you picked for deliberate reasons that have a reason to exist. This movie has no reason to exist.
They were chosen because they are good movies,
Right.
not this.
Yeah, I guess that's where, the only way I'm kind of, keeping my sense of positivity is now that I got this out of the way and I don't have to pretend this is a good movie anymore, I just really like zombies. So I could see watching this again if I was, say someday I write a book about zombies. Like, then I'd be like, all right, what did we learn from this dumb movie?
All you need to do is listen to this podcast, because we should do a count meter about how many times I was like, oh man, this is fucking terrible.
I think
I'm sure it's got to be at least 30 or 40.
I think if we isolated how many minutes we talked about this movie, it's probably like maybe 10 minutes. So
No, I'd give it more than that. I would. I mean, the movie was about an hour and a half. I bet we talked about this movie for 40 minutes.
maybe that sounds generous, but yeah, anyway, the point is, we did it. We made it. So I guess we might as well just wrap up. Fuck this movie. Fuck everything.
Fuck this movie. George Romero deserved what he got in the end for this movie, and that's terrible, but true.
I'm gonna put a zombie moan over that. It's not okay to say that George Romero deserved to die. Is what he said, by the way.
That is what I said. Because death and carnage, right? Okay, so
Actually, didn't what was the last episode we did? What did it end with? We should always end with that we're glad someone is dead, because I think we did that last time too.
did we really?
Yeah, but I don't remember who it was.
Okay,
So that'll be our new tradition. We'll just be glad someone's dead every
who's
time.
gonna pick? Is it gonna be like me or you?
So far, it's been you both times.
All right. So where can we find you online?
All right, so yeah, so my website is keithcourage.com, and my Twitter is Keith McNally.
My Twitter and Instagram are both at Bora Hioro. You probably can't spell it, but it's BouraHioro. And other than that, I'm not really anywhere else online. So on that note, I'm really glad George Michael died.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Was it? Well, I'm trying to remember who we said last time. Was it George Michael again? It couldn't have been.
No.
Why would we bring up George Michael so many times, except that he's so handsome?
Careless whisper.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So if you thought this was, I mean, you probably didn't think this was amazing, but if you think this even has slight potential, feel free to subscribe. And in a few months, this podcast will reactivate and come back to life. For now, this is just, planting the seed that will someday be... So what are we calling this? The fucking greatest movie podcast of all time?
The greatest fucking movie podcast of all time. I think, unless you just want to make it simple and call it like your old movie thing. Like,
It's a movie, so watch it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I like that title, but I think maybe we should... let's toss horror in there, just because it's going to mostly be horror movies.
Okay. It's a horror movie, so watch it.
Well, I was going to say the greatest fucking horror movie podcast of all time. Or whatever.
Okay, whatever.
Because then we can still do side movies and...
Title to be determined.
Yeah. And but yeah, just since the endless sea of the internet, just to give it a little more, because I feel like if I saw a movie podcast, I might not click on it. But if I see a horror movie podcast and I'm a sick fuck, then maybe, maybe I would.
I can't wait to hear all the zombie groans.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you later, you fucks.
Fuck you all.